A Little Learning by Alexander Pope, 1688 to 1744. A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep, or taste not the Pierian spring. There shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. Fired at first sight with what the Muse imparts, in fearless youth we tempt the heights of arts, while from the bounded level of our mind short views we take, nor see the lengths behind. But more advanced behold with strange surprise new, distant scenes of endless science rise. So pleased at first the towering Alps we try, mount o'er the vales and seem to tread the sky. The eternal snows appear already past, and the first clouds and mountains seem the last. But those attained we tremble to survey, the growing labours of the lengthened way. The increasing prospect tires our wandering eyes, hills peep o'er hills, and Alps on Alps arise. Okay, this is a poem by Alexander Pope. Let's see, Alexander Pope was a poet and a writer and a translator. He was a classicist. He wrote Augustan literature. Let's see, he was born in London, and he spent his life in London. He was also a satirist, and he was one of the most prominent poets of the early 18th century. Now, this poem in itself is famous for the full quote, "A little learning is a dangerous thing." And that's where it starts. A little learning is a dangerous thing. And this is a quote that we actually quite often use. It's saying that if you want to learn something, then immerse yourself in it. Don't just dabble in knowledge. Try to learn a lot about things. Because otherwise you become, if you have a little bit of knowledge, you become overconfident. You think you know all of it. And a little bit of knowledge, yes, you know a tiny bit about a subject, but you don't actually know the realities. And this poem, it shows the path of learning, that the more you learn, the more you go, the more you discover that you don't know. That you climb the heights, or you climb what you think is a mountain, learning something, and then you discover there's an even taller mountain on top of that. So it's not wise to form opinions on a limited understanding. This is saying that the pursuit of knowledge is something that is that takes a very long time, and the more you learn, the more you discover that you need to learn, and it's impossible to learn everything. And I think this is very clear. So perhaps first of all you're at school and you learn to read. Wow, but there are more and more and more complex things that you can learn to do with words. So anyway, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep, or taste not the Pierian spring. So, learn properly, learn fully, learn all about something, or don't taste the Pierian spring. Okay, this is a sacred spring, which was in Macedonia. This is from ancient mythology. Maybe this was also on Mount Olympus, where the gods lived, and the Pierian spring is the fountain of knowledge that inspires whoever drinks from it. And the Muses used to live in the Pierian spring. So learn fully. Don't just learn a little bit. Go the whole way. And don't just taste it. Their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. So a draught is a drink of it. So if you just take a little drink of the of knowledge, then you become drunk with this idea that you know this subject, you know all about it, because you have a little bit of knowledge about it, and you think you know everything. And drinking largely sobers us again. But when you start to drink more of this knowledge, when you start to learn more, you start to realize how much you don't know. For me, very often this happens with students in English. If a student says, my English is really good, I think, bluff. Whereas if a student says, my English is really bad, that to me normally means they actually speak a lot of English. And I think it's the same thing. When you know more about something, you understand what you don't know. Fired at first sight with what the Muse imparts. In fearless youth we tempt the heights of arts. So when we first start learning, when we first start learning from the Muses, or from the Muse of learning, we think that we can do the most incredible things. We can go to the heights of this art. So now I can write. So now I'm going to write my Shakespearean play. It's more complicated than that. Well, from the bounded level of our mind, short views we take, nor see the lengths behind. So this depends on the level of our mind. When we are learners, when we are at the beginning, we can only see a short view. We can only see a little bit, and we don't see what is behind that. We don't see very far. But more advanced, behold with strange surprise, new distant scenes of endless science rise. So if we're at a low level, we just see a short way ahead. But as we improve our level, suddenly we see scenes, and then things behind that, and things behind that, and things behind that. And the more we see, the more we understand that we need to learn in the distance. So pleased at first, the towering Alps we try. So to start with, we're really happy, and we climb the hills of knowledge, mount o'er the vales and seem to tread the sky. So we go over the valleys, and we seem to be walking on the skies of knowledge. The eternal snows already appear already past. So we've got to the supermost extreme heights, and the first clouds and mountains seem the last. And it seems that the first clouds, the first mountains in the clouds, the first heights of knowledge, this is the absolute understanding of the subject. But those attained. But when we actually get to the tops of these high mountains of knowledge with clouds at the top, we tremble to survey the growing labours of the lengthened way, we actually see that we have a lot further to go. There's a lot more that we have to do. The increasing prospect tires our wandering eyes, and the prospect of the path seems to get longer, and we understand that there is a lot more to this than meets the eye. Hills peep o'er hills. So we're on top of a hill and we see another hill on top of this. Alps on Alps arise. So we've climbed to the top of what seem to be the Alps. But then there are more Alps on top of this. And we need to go up, ever up, ever up. And the more we know, the more we understand that there is to learn. And we must learn fully. We don't just take learning as let's learn a little bit. You need to give yourself fully over to learning. You can't just do it a little bit, and that's why the phrase "a little learning" is a dangerous thing. So, A Little Learning by Alexander Pope.